King is back, baby. I'm on gas. Yo, Flex with it. He's fat.
You there, sitting at home, acknowledge me.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Turnbuckle Weekly Podcast. I'm your host, Casey, and with me is my co-host, my tag team partner, my not-so-hetero life mate, Leon. How you doing today, buddy, while you're eating Doritos directly in the microphone?
Hey, look, I'm trying to branch out and make this an ASMR also.
You are absolutely awful. So anyway, guys, this is a bit of a different episode. You guys are used to us talking to wrestlers or managers or any of these other things. But today, we have, I would say probably one of the longest tenured people within the WWE that I'm aware of as far as like what I'm seeing. I'm not even going to waste any more time. We have Jenn Moore with us. How you doing today, Jenn?
I'm doing great. How are y'all doing?
We are doing great. I'm super excited about this because today is going to answer at least one question I've had since we met, even before we worked in the company. And then even more so after talking to you, I've had the same question. We're going to ask it, and then I would just want to have some fun today. I want you to tell us some funny stories because you've been with the company for... I don't know, 18 years?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So that's backyard days.
And I have answers that you don't have yet.
Well, save it for the show, dick. So I'm going to go ahead and just get it out of the way. I have to know how you got linked up with WWE.
Okay, well, my cousin, Jordan Whitaker, he was telling me about it years ago, backyard days, and I told him that one day I would come and watch, which of course, you know how that goes. Well, my dad went whenever they had a Independence Day show in the backyard, and then he come back, told me that I needed to go, so I did. I took some pictures, and then I just started going every Saturday, and here we are. That's how I got into the company. They asked me to do it, so...
You dug yourself a grave without even meaning to.
Pretty much.
And now every single Saturday is spent holding a camera, hoping to God you don't have to record more than 4 people at a time.
Yeah, well, sometimes it would be 2 cameras. I would have my phone for the pictures and TikTok, and then I would have the other camera. But now, just one camera, whether it's my phone or whether it's the video camera, it's just one.
And you've seen a lot of people come and go holding those cameras. I mean, you've had the second best cameraman of all time, Landon Sugars. You've had the best cameraman of all time, me. Because, see, with my camera work, I forget there's a microphone, so I talk. And then I get fussed at for talking. But at least it's entertaining. Chris got on to me, but he was like, it was super funny, though. And I was like, oh. I was like, oh.
It happens sometimes. You get bored out there. You got to talk, you know.
Well, that's what I told him. He was like, he was talking to me about his and MK's match in Livermore, the fans pick a side thing. And he was like, well, at least I know you have good taste because I could hear you cheering for me. I was like, yes, Jenn and I picked sides. I had to commit to the bit.
Well, I told him, I said, I can't be on your side because the fans know that I don't like CCW, so I have to pick the other guy, you know.
See, I love.
So wait, this is a great question then. So in Livermore, when Tyler Santos sandbagged CCW, did you cheer for Santos?
I mean, maybe.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. He did not sandbag CCW, you guys, or did he?
Christopher will never know who she was cheering for.
You will never know.
He doesn't listen to this. It's fine.
You know, that's a big thing. He sure doesn't, does he?
No.
Mark my words, CCW, and mark them well. It is you and me one day in that ring.
I listen to their shit all the time. I love it.
I've listened to a couple of them.
I just listen to bits and pieces when JC or Cortland, excuse me, is editing it. So.
Well, it's like what my girlfriend tells me when I ask her, like, why don't you listen to my podcast? You probably have the same thing she has, which is where she's like, if I want to hear you and your dumbass friends talk about wrestling, I'll just sit in the room while you do it.
My wife doesn't listen either. Like, I'll be like, yeah, we did this podcast with so and so, and she's like, oh really? And I'm like, yeah, we did. She's like, how was it? And I'm like, you didn't listen to it? No. Why? Because I'm listening to music on the way to work.
Jen, Chelsea was more excited that we're talking to you today than when I had like Shane Mercer and people. She was like, I was like, we got Shane Mercer, baby. He has like 4 million followers across social media. And she was like, yay, cool. And then I told her I was.
Sounds like me.
I told her I was recording today. And she was like, who are you interviewing? And I was like, Jen. And she goes, really? That's going to be like a really good show. She's been there forever. Imagine the stories you're going to hear. And I was like, yeah, that was the point of the booking.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, because this is a good segue. You've been there since the backyard days. Did you start post trampoline, or did you start while they still had the trampoline?
No, they didn't have the trampoline when I started.
They had the actual ring. Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Because they were doing shows with the trampoline, right? Or were they just goofing off?
I think they were, I guess, doing shows to entertain themselves, I guess. I don't know if they had a crowd, but I guess maybe that was the start of doing shows, is
Gotcha.
the trampoline doing it, and then they got the ring, and yeah.
Because
That's where it's at now.
Because I've been going through YouTube, and like that's like my whole, I guess, plethora of YouTube videos, is because I'm so in love with backyard stuff, and like where the history of some of the greats like Chris and Ray and the Hardy Boys, who started in backyards on trampolines just having a good time, where they went from that to going and working fairs to doing actual shows. And so that's like my whole plethora. And I see kids, teenagers, who host shows wrestling on trampolines in front of a crowd of 50, 60 people at a fair or in a barn, or, and so it's crazy to think of where WWA, where we've came from to where we're at now, because you look back at it and, they tried shutting our company down for a while. They succeeded for a little while. But the way that Chris and Ray and Alexander and Dakota France, the way that they have all bounced back and came back stronger to what we do now is just so incredible. And for you to be along on the journey with them is just mind-boggling to me, because you do not have an easy job. No. I mean, you really don't.
No, it's not easy.
Your job is not easy. People are like, excuse me, she's out there holding a camera.
Yeah, that's
what's
what
she
everybody
doing?
Thinks it is. You're just holding the camera. Like, no, not at all.
It's like you have to. It's just like WWE. Those camera guys, they run and they are carrying, equipment. If you are broadcasting a product, but you have the crappiest angles possible, nobody's gonna watch it because they can't see anything. So when you have to get in there and you have to get the best angle, but not get in people's way, and that's the hard part, is even from me watching from behind the barricade, I'm like, man, she almost got ran over. It's a communication problem, and people don't realize that. It's like you get in there and have a freight train like Josh Onyx run at you around the corner.
That's wild.
Then it's crazy to think about, but. No, I'm super excited for this episode. I think it's going to be fun.
We're in the episode.
You're
talking about it like we haven't started.
I know.
Like we're a few minutes
Time flies
in.
by when you're having fun.
Well, being out there is dangerous because, one thing is you kind of got to learn the wrestlers, like, their moves and whatnot. So anytime there's new guys out there, it's like I've got to start over on learning, like, well, if they're doing this and they might come out of the ring, or if they're doing that, I better, you just kind of got to watch yourself. Plus, I'm also out there. I'll check on people because there are sometimes, especially Dash Liccardo, where he looks like he just dies out there. And so I'm checking on people. Got to stay out of the way. I've almost Alexander Knight and his big old head about took me out once. Yeah, he somehow come through the ropes because he was supposed to, I guess, just bounce off the ropes, but he came through them, and I moved just in time because his head probably would have murdered me. I've had a moment. Let's see. That's why I don't like lumberjack matches because there's too many people around, and I get stuck in the middle or whatever. It's rough. But yeah, some people say, "Oh, all you're doing is standing out there," and it's like, you do it then.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just that, but it's being on your feet the entire show, on that concrete, standing there and standing there. And then having to do everything backstage and get into the ring, and it's a lot. People don't realize, and I tell them at work all the time. They're like, "Oh, well, you're off every Saturday." Yeah, from here, but technically, I'm still working on Saturdays. It's not easy working a wrestling show.
See, I get that from Chelsea all the time when I'm tired on Sundays, and I complain about being tired or sore on Sundays. And I was like, "I worked last night," and she's like, "Yeah, okay." And I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, she's like, "I go to the shows, I see you." She goes, "If you're not just standing there with a camera in your hand, you're standing over in a corner with your buddies enjoying a wrestling show." No, that is not what we're doing. We're standing in the corner, scanning the crowd, making sure
Working
Terry
security.
making sure Terry don't have to punch nobody in the face. We're watching for spills, and I was like, on the camera thing, eat dicks, because my first night holding camera, like doing camera, and I got that camera in my hand. When we interviewed Cortland, I went to him afterwards and was like, "Hey, what kind of cameras do you guys use? Because I'm thinking about trying to, get one for me and Leon to be able to set up and record and get better video." And he sends it to me, and it's like an $800 piece of equipment. Like that's nerve wracking. And then you got to get the shots right. You can't. You can't miss moments. You have to watch the show, but at the same time, be aware of your surroundings. But you have to you can't watch, but you have to watch, and you got to be here and you got to be there. Like it's like people just watch Hysteria and they're like, "Yeah, it's people having fun, like filming wrestling." No, I mean, yeah, we're having fun, but this is difficult. Like we're responsible for entertaining thousands of people. Yeah, holding that camera and then breaking down the ring blows.
And that's the same thing too. Like with me, so like with stamping hands with Miss Terry, it sometimes can get nerve-wracking too, because some of those people that come through that door are some of the most hateful people you've ever seen in your entire life. And they're like, "Well, I reserved such and such seats, but somebody didn't show up." And Terry's like, "Well, you still got to pay for them." And just the look on their face, for me to not be like, "Hey, listen, if you don't like it, you can go home."
Yeah, we went to a show. We were supposed to bring somebody, that didn't show up, and we were like, "Hey, they didn't show up."
Yeah,
and
I was like,
she was like, "Still got to pay for the seat." And I was like, "You mean there's going to be a space between us and whatever neckbeard's watching the show?"
Chill.
Bet.
And but it's not just that. It's not just that, but like making sure, because sometimes they flood in that door and there's a pile of them. So having to get everybody's hand. And then when Terry gets up, I've got to handle the money and make sure that we do the math right.
See, no, I didn't do that. If they came up and they were like, "Hey, I need tickets," if they didn't have exact change, I was like, "You wait for Terry."
Like I'm comfortable with it now, but like the first couple weeks, I was like, "Terry, where'd you go?" "Terry, hello, Terry," and she'd be like backstage. Yeah, she'd be backstage and like people are like, and then Terry walks up and goes, "How many?" And they're like, 4. And I'm like, "Listen, you got about 30 more seconds to look at me like that before I throw you in the ring and get in there before I'm ever supposed to. And it's going to go down because I'm yelling timber." And copyrighted.
Are you doing lyrics on the show? You doing songs?
Yes. But no, it's definitely not a cakewalk doing those shows. There's a lot that goes into it. But it's so fulfilling to see everybody who walks in a bad mood or a sad mood, but by the time they leave that show,
Well, depending
whether
on
they've
who
had
they
a
cheer
good
for.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, depending on who to cheer for.
It's always they might come in mad, they might come in upset, but by the time they leave, well, that was a really, really good show. I had a good time. But man, I wish Cortland Moore would have won that match, or I wish Santos wasn't here so I didn't have to look at him.
Nobody wishes Cortland won a match. No one wishes Cortland won a match.
But it's definitely not a cakewalk, and there's so much misunderstanding about the wrestling business that people don't understand. And there's a difference between not understanding the big things in wrestling and then completely being hateful for the small things. And I think that's something that we all do really well, and Chris has done a really good job putting in play, is the small details matter. Mm-hmm. And that's the same way with especially the camera work. It's the small angles. It's the small bits of video that you can get that could really change the whole night. Sorry, I ramble. I'm a talker.
I was actually
I'm a rambler too.
I was gonna sit here and be like, do I have a wrap it up button? But, so just to rein this thing back in, something else I've been just morbidly curious about. Before you got started, and Jordan got you involved in this, were you a wrestling fan prior?
Yes, I was a wrestling fan, and then kind of life happened, and I wasn't watching it as much anymore, so it kind of fell off, but then I got back into it, and to tell you now, I am not a wrestling fan now. I do not watch any of it on TV. I did kind of take a year off. I was still at shows, but I wasn't working. Like, I would help tear down, but I wasn't doing camera work. Mm-hmm. Sitting in the crowd at our shows, though, was very entertaining. But I cannot get into any other wrestling. I've been to other independent shows. I'm not a fan. I've been to WWE shows, and unless Randy Orton or Finn Balor or, I don't know, Bayley or Naomi's on the screen or out in the ring, I didn't really care. And the Undertaker, I got to see him once for he walked out, said something, went to the back. But other than that, I'm not really a wrestling fan anymore. I know it sounds awful, but...
No, actually, I was thinking about this the other day. So we watch wrestling 6 days a week at the house. It is on 6 days a week. We watch it 6 days a week. Unless, a Saturday we don't watch, because I don't watch anything but one AEW show. I refuse to watch the other one. If there's a pay-per-view, it's 6 days. Other than that, Monday through Friday is wrestling. And after working with WWE for this past 5, almost 6 months now, I was sitting in the house the other day and Chelsea was like, are we gonna watch Raw? And I was like, yeah. And then we watched Raw, and then Tuesday came around and she's like, are we gonna watch NXT? And I was like, no. Wednesday, are we watching Dynamite? Fuck no. It was an emphatic no. And then Thursday, are we watching TNA? No. Friday, I'm not watching SmackDown. Saturday, because I was like, honey, I'm going to be in a car. I think it was the week of Eddyville. I was like, I'm going to be in a car for 2 hours, going to a wrestling show, driving back with Leon and them for another 2 hours just to get up at 7 in the morning to get ready to go to work at 8 and then working all day. I want to turn my brain off right now. I don't want to consume any wrestling. We're not doing the podcast this week. Nothing. And I'll turn it off. And I thought about that with podcasting. I have been podcasting on and off since 2021. I used to have a lineup. I would listen to, Last Podcast on the Left. I listened to Joe Rogan. I would listen to this other podcast I listened to when I was more political. Now I'm getting back political again, but then I was hardcore, super left-winged. I'd listen to a podcast that aligned with my values. Now the podcasts I listen to, or I go back and listen to this show, and that's it. I don't, and maybe Chris Van Vliet when he's got somebody really good on, and I want to see when he had Jericho or Danhausen or something like that. I'll watch it. But other than that, podcasting is very little because I do it so often. I think when you immerse yourself into something, it's like with work. I worked fast food my whole life. If I could never eat Burger King again, that would be lovely. I worked there for 8 years. It's all I ate for 8 years. If someone says, hey, Burger King's shutting down, there's no more Whoppers, I would not be hurt. You know what I mean? It's like when you immerse yourself into something so deep for so long, I think your brain just kind of goes like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. It's business now. It's not pleasure anymore. This is work. I know when I go there, I'm going to be stressed. So I think that's just what it is. It just happens, and that's perfectly okay. And especially with like in your situation, you're a wrestling fan. You lapse. You're working for a wrestling company. You're married to a wrestler. So, like, I can only imagine. I mean, with Cortland has other things he does. He's just not wrestling 24 hours a day. He's a very talented musician. So I know there's a lot of music and a lot of wrestling going on. And eventually, one of those things is going to go out in the wash. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves music. Wrestling can be put to the side for some people. It's fine. So, like, I can only imagine how much wrestling talk there is in the house that you just tune out. You're just like, I'm done.
Sometimes it's a lot. It's been more music lately since he's been diving into the music thing. But yeah, there's still wrestling where he'll be like, oh, guess what so-and-so did? And I'm like, I don't even know who that is. I don't know wrestlers anymore. If you're not naming the older guys, I have no clue who it is.
Right.
So,
yeah, or the guys that we work with.
Yeah, unless it's WWA or the few wrestlers I still know in like WWE. I don't watch TNA or NXT or the AEW. See, I don't even know them. I don't even watch any of those other ones.
It's too many letters.
There is. There's way too many letters, and it's confusing sometimes. But no, like I just can't get into wrestling like that anymore. Attitude Era. That's probably, I mean, I guess it's a lot of people's favorite as far as WWE goes. But I don't know. Ours is, it's a good mixture of everything, I guess, is the reason why. Because like I said, I can be a fan of ours. I can just sit in the crowd and, tell Chris Waddell he's ugly and, something like that, or tell him he's hateful. Of course, I'm around kids, so I don't say the stuff some of the fans do, but but yeah, I'll just be out there and be like, you're ugly and nobody likes you and stuff like that. I do have fun doing that, but I've tried so hard to get into other shows and I just can't. I can't. It's just not for me, I guess, anymore.
That's one thing that I really love about our company is it's not a soap opera. It's a wrestling show. You go out there and you may have a segment within the 2.5 hours that we put on a show. Whereas WWE, you get a 3-minute match, somebody does a backstage segment, Danhausen comes out, shoots t-shirts, curses somebody, then they do 4 promos followed by a 5-minute 1-star match, then they have the main event and you go home.
Or you can watch AEW and it's a 45-minute match that means nothing.
Right.
Like it's just a throwaway that some billionaire sitting in his dad's basement and running an E-Fed when he was a kid just goes, look at all the action figures I have now. And Chris Jericho is going to face Cody Rhodes now, even though they've done it 100 times. I want to see it again. And why? Well, just because. So wrestling has gotten so
our company
monotonous.
Is so good at storylines and what makes sense. And when we don't have one planned, usually one is thrown off the top of the head, but eventually it will blend in and you'll go, oh, that's why they did that match 3 weeks ago, because now look what's happening. So that's what I tell everybody is, well, I don't like wrestling because all they do is talk. Come to WWA, you ain't gonna have that.
Well, another thing about WWA that a lot of people I will talk to, like their idea of the indies is bloodstained mat, shitty ropes, really uncomfortable chairs,
ropes and traffic cones as barricades.
Traffic cones as the barricades. There's blood and guts, and every
Barbed
wrestler
wire.
drops 5 F-bombs in his promo and uses racial or gay slurs because they can't actually cut a real promo. And then you come to the WWA and you see that like occasionally CCW will talk about having sex with his boyfriend or something like that, and then you just be like,
or call himself daddy, which makes me want to gag every time.
See, every time he does it, I go papa, and because it makes me giggle. But like, yeah, like you'll have little things like that, but for the most part, It's something that I don't mind bringing my children to. It's got a professional look to it. Everything about that company is professional, minus Tyler Santos. I don't know what in the hell's going on there.
Well, and Leon.
And Leon, yeah. See, here's the thing about that.
Oh
See,
gosh, here we go.
and you guys are just fresh on Leon. That's what's really fun is like somebody will be like, oh, Leon's like really funny, or he's like really good at this or really good at that. And I was like, yeah, but see, here's what the problem is. And because Alexander Knight asked me this the other day, and I was like, okay, he's talking to me about Leon. I was like, okay. And he's like, what? And I went, okay, listen. I said, I know Leon very well. For years, I have known him now. Years. And he's like, right? And I was like, so when he gets in the ring and he's wrestling Caleb and he starts going like, yeah, and he's like talking mad shit to him and like being a tough guy, I know that's not real. And like, it takes me completely out of it. It takes me completely out of it. Like, that's another bad thing about working for that company is I had such visions about what certain people were probably like, just based upon their gimmicks, and then I work there and I meet them and I'm like, you are nothing like that. What is going on? Like Matija Montana, for an example, he constantly makes fun of himself, so I don't feel bad about it. Matija stutters. He has anxiety. He gets tied up on certain things when he's nervous, and he'll get to ticking and stuttering. Put him in the ring.
Oh, dude, whole nother animal.
It's like we got out of the ring, and he was like, "How was that practice match?" I said, "Brother, you didn't stutter one time in that ring. What the fuck?"
Dude, it's funny because like you talk to Matija, and he'll do his stutter thing, and I remember like the second week that we worked there, he was like, "Hey, I'm Matija Montana." And I was like, "Hey, what's up?"
Even though we had already interviewed him.
Yeah, we'd already interviewed him. And then he goes, I have CTE. You have to forgive me. He's like, I forget things. I'm like, oh, it's cool, dude. He's like, so I'm gonna do this new move, and I'm gonna do this, and you know, and
every week he tells me about the same move, and I go, I love you so much, you adorable puppy dog.
I was like, that's awesome. And then like he'll walk by and he'll go, so I'm gonna do this new move, and I'm like, I got you, big homie. And he's like, I have CTE. You'll have to forgive me. And I'm like, but then he gets in the ring and it's like a switch flips and he's a whole nother animal. There's no stuttering. He just, it's a perfect heel. Like, he's such a nice guy. Kayfabe. He's such a nice guy.
Kayfabe, brother, you're ruining the business.
But when he's in the ring, he's like your forever champ, right? Your forever champ. Same way.
Completely different person.
Same way. Yeah, but there's a difference though, because I feel like.
Are you talking about Cortland?
Sure.
Being a different person?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, it's pretty close though.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah,
it's pretty close.
I mean, he does call, but.
Cortland's the same person in the ring or outside of the ring. So.
That's true. That's true.
I have heard him walk up to a fan and be like, yeah, won't you blow me or something like that. And then I'll see him after the show and I'll be like, that's a good show tonight, man. He's like, yeah, blow me.
Oh my gosh, no. Funny story about that.
Dude.
Funny story about that. I know exactly who you're talking to. She wore a blue shirt and it was in Nebo.
It was in Nebo.
Fun fact, she's from Hardensburg. I saw her in the store the other day.
I know.
Like, I sat there and I was like, she looks really familiar. And then it was like a flashback in slow motion. It was just Cortland standing there. Why don't you? And I was like, I know who
He's
that
like,
is.
let me roll you out of here later on tonight. How about that? And I was like, bro, that's.
He's like, why don't you get in the ring?
The funny thing about her is she was with somebody who comes to a lot of Bowling Green shows.
Yes.
And so I was talking to him. She's like, this is her first show here. And then as soon as I seen him stop, I go, God, no. Like, of all people, this is who you stopped to. But
he didn't even know. He didn't even know until after the show. He was like, it was that lady's first time at the show.
He goes, dude, that was that lady's first time at the show. And I was like, okay. And he goes, that was awesome.
Yeah. But no, he stopped that. I was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. God, he's doing it.
Do you ever see him do certain things and then just be like, why did you do that? No, not anymore.
Nothing surprises me. Like, somebody be like, did you see what he did? Be like, yeah, it's just a Tuesday. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, literally, he is pretty much the same person.
It's funny because I think I've only seen him break one time, and it was right after Michael Caden came back and they reunited, like after they jumped natural causes.
Yeah.
And somebody said something to him, and anybody that knows Cortland or has ever been to the show, he's very passive aggressive sometimes. But he's also very straightforward. Like, if he wants you to know that he hates you, he's going to say everything about you that he can. So, he had said something to somebody, and I don't remember where we were, and they fired back on him. And evidently what they said, like, broke all quantum physics that he's ever thought of. Because for a split second, he stopped. And he started laughing. He had to turn away real quick, and he did like that wipe down his face to like where you stop your smile.
Get it back down.
And then he was like, "You're fat," and then he gets in the ring, and I'm like, "What?"
He almost broke me on commentary last time at XOXO. I'm on commentary, and him and Michael Caden, everybody's favorite trend killer.
That's right.
They walk down and they put their belts over in front of Danny Beasley, and I just kind of look at the belts and I go back to looking at them to be like, "What are you gonna do now?" And they're both standing there, and I guess they clocked me, look at the belts, and Michael Caden goes, "Are you looking at my property?" And Cortland's like, "Yeah, don't be looking at our belts." And he was like, "Don't you touch this." He goes, "I swear to God, if you touch this." And I was like, "I'm not gonna touch it, dude." And I'm biting my lip inside so I don't start laughing. And as soon as they turn around, I started touching both the belts. And then Cortland turned around and looked at me, and I put my hand back, and he was like that, and I went. I had to really bite it because he was just sitting there behind him like a little brother does to a big brother when the big brother's defending the little brother. He pops up, yeah. Like I was like, "Dude, you can't do this while I'm in pro mode right now."
Dude,
like,
funny.
I got to be straight. So again to rein it back in with a just a little backstory. So you met him there, correct?
Yeah.
Now
What
we're getting
happened
into good
is
stuff.
there was a group of people going to Huddle House. Of course, that's the hangout spot in Central City, I guess.
I love it.
And me and Brooklyn went. My daughter, she was 8, maybe. And we went there, and then I was about to leave. And the story is JC was sitting there. He was sitting at a table with Chris and some people. I was sitting at a different table. And as I was leaving, I was telling everybody bye. Chris goes, "You should rub his head." And I go, "Why would I do that?" He goes, "Because he's got a perfectly round head. Touch his head." I was like, "I'm not touching this guy's head. I didn't even know what his name was." But that's literally the first time I ever seen him in my life. And then, over time, we just became friends, and now we're married. So
I feel like that there's a lot of details that you're leaving out on purpose, which is perfectly cool.
That's what I'm gonna do. Was it one of the situations like me and mine where she did not like me at all when we first met?
Oh, no, it wasn't like it was a slow process, I guess, because occasionally there'd be a group hangout. He would be there, and I didn't really say a lot to him because I didn't know him. And then there'd be a few of us hanging out, like Ray, Chris, Alexander, Cortland, and me would just be hanging out. We'll be somewhere, and then there was a group of us that went to go see Kiss and Motley Crue in concert.
Mm-hmm.
Me, a guy named Xavier Barbosa who used to wrestle, and Cortland were all in the back of the van. We got stuck in the very back, and so I would try to talk to him a little bit, but again, I didn't know him that well, and but yeah, eventually we got to where we got closer, and we were friends, and then we become best friends, and then yep. I mean, literally, that was basically it.
And now it's I'm just living with him because he cooks good.
He is a good cook. Like I'm telling you, I'm surprised I'm not 500 pounds. I'm just saying.
See, I don't think I've ever told this story. So when I met Chelsea, we were at a party, and I was still married at the time, and Chelsea and my wife were friends, kinda. They were acquaintances. They hung out at the parties. They texted back and forth sometimes. She didn't really know much about me. We show up to the party. It's pool party. Everybody's all getting wasted. Well, my ex-wife is an awful drunk. Like, she's the worst drunk in the world. She got drunk off Four Loko one time, woke me up in the middle of the night. Four Lokos are incredibly dangerous. If we're, folks don't know about those, they are very dangerous. They don't taste like alcohol and they hit you really fast. And she wakes me up at like 3 a.m. and she's like, "Hey." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Slide them britches down." And I said, "I'm going to bed, dude. I have to be at work in 2 hours." Piss off. And then she puked on my face. And I was so mad. I was so mad. I had a 13-hour shift ahead of me. I was so mad. I got up. I was up from then on. So after that situation, we didn't let her drink very often. So I take her to this party. She has a drink. And I was like, "That's it, dude." Well, Chelsea, kind of a man-hater, was like, "Nah, you're not going to let a man tell you what you're going to do tonight." And she's giving me shit. Just keeps on digging at me about it. Calling me names. She did not like me at all. We went to a Halloween party with our same friends. She didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be there. And we made friends off the fact that neither of us wanted to be there. We spent our entire time outside talking. My marriage is on its last leg at this point. So once we split, she was like, you want to give this thing a shot? And I was like, "You like me?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Bro, I did not think you liked me at all." And she goes, "I didn't." And then she told me all those stories back. And she's like, "I thought you were the biggest piece of shit I'd ever talked to in my life. And now you're just kind of a piece of shit. You're a tolerable piece of shit." And I was like, "Thank you." And now she likes me. But like all the time she tells people, when people are like, "How did y'all meet?" She's like, "Oh, I hated this dude. I hated this fat tub of lard. I hated him so bad." But she was like, "But he gave me a kid that I love very much, so I guess he gets a pass." That's what it is.
Dude, it was funny though, Jen, because I got to tell you, I just told my wife what you said about her. And she
we tell her this all the time, though. I don't understand.
She's outside like cleaning the shed right now. I think, "Hi, I see you out there." So we're sitting there, and we were like, I was like, "Yeah, we're interviewing Jenn today," and she goes, "Who's Jenn?" And I was like, "She's the camera lady at WWA." She goes, "Oh, I thought y'all interview wrestlers." I was like, "Look, do you know the stories that this woman
we're
has?"
interviewing everybody top
She's
to
like,
bottom.
"Oh, okay, cool." And I said, "Oh, by the way, Jenn said this." And she just stares at me. And I'm like, "Jenn said, and I quote, that you are far too pretty for me and that I am ugly and that I should not be with you because you're so pretty." And her response was, "Well, that's not very nice." And I said, "She means it in the best possible way." And she goes, "She said that before the haircut, right?" And I said, "I could be bald and she'd say the same thing. A haircut doesn't do it." And she goes, "No, a haircut definitely makes a difference." I said, "Whatever."
Dude, I catch hell for this at the house all the time because I'll be laughing about something, and like I joke about me and Leon being medium ugly and being able to hit way out of our price ranges, and like she goes, "Okay." She's like, "You need to stop giving Leon so much crap. He is not a dumpster fire. He's a good enough looking dude that it's fine." And I like a little bit of silence goes. I was like, "Are you saying that my friends are more attractive than me?" And she, "Oh my God, here we go." I was like, no, we're doing this shit. I was like, "We're doing this right now." I was like, "Is Leon prettier than me?" And she goes, "No, honey," which means yes. So I was like, no, Chelsea has a crush on Munchie. That's
and
where
MK.
that's where. No, she told me the other day. She told me the other day, she goes, "I like MK as a wrestler." She goes, "But Munchie's cute." And
It's funny because Tabby did the same thing to me the other day. It was last week. It was maybe right after I got our dog or whatever. Anyway, Katie and Caleb were bringing Ryder over to play with the dog. And we were sitting there, and I think I had to go back to work or whatever. And she's like, "Katie's bringing Ryder over to play with Winnie." And I said, "Yeah, Caleb's coming over too." And she stops and she stares at me. She goes, "Oh, so you only care about Caleb coming over. Why, do you love him or something?" And I was like, "We're friends. We're training together." And she goes, "You love Caleb more than you love me." And I said, "I do not." She said, "Yes, you do."
Oh, no, I get that all the time.
And I said, She goes, "Oh, really?" And then it started going down. And I was like, "I love you. Last time I checked, I haven't laid down with Caleb, so."
That makes one of us. No,
Well, that's like me. Like I'm talking talking about all these wives I have, and somebody was like, "What do you think about that, Cortland?" He was like, whatever."
Yeah.
He's just like, whatever. Well, I've started getting husbands now because Billy and Harlow are my husbands now, and Falcon is my spouse. So
Gotcha.
I'm collecting them all up.
Yeah, no, every time we go to shows, like, and I'll come home the next morning, Chelsea's like, "Did you hang out with your boyfriend last night who you love so much?" And I'm like, "Leon and Caleb, I hang out with them all the time." And she goes, "No, your man crush. You get to hang out with Cortland last night?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And she goes, she just shakes her head and she's like, "You're so gay." And I was like, "Yeah,
Look,
whatever, dude."
Look, women don't understand that
$20 is $20.
That's
bro-
right. That's right.
bromance is a thing as long as it doesn't get too weird.
Well, I just told her.
I mean, I guess with the amount of wives I have, I guess I'm gay too. So
I mean, it is what it is. It's 2026. Everybody's a little bit. Leon's a lot of it.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
Santos.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Santos. So we gotta tell everybody about Denny's.
Oh, God, here we go.
So we all go to Denny's. You know, you're there. For the listeners, we go to Denny's after a show, and the table, the way it's set up, is we have Rhonda, who used to be with the company, works for a very good tattoo shop in Litchfield. I think they own it.
I'm gonna be seeing her Saturday too. She's
Oh, nice.
doing another tattoo.
Me and her have been talking about her doing some work on me, but I want to give her the right piece to do.
Yeah.
And but it was her, and then we got Danny Beasley, the mayor of Litchfield. Everybody knows
That's right.
and loves Danny.
Oh, Danny Beasley.
And then down the table is like me, and then Caleb and his girlfriend Katie, and then Leon, and then you, Mason, Dash. Y'all are over at a table, and Tyler Santos is sitting directly across from Leon. And we all found out that these guys are the same dude. They're the same dude. So people, if you watch Tyler Santos and you're like, "What's that guy like?" Listen to the show. Just add terribly broken Spanish to Leon's voice.
Let me just clear up some gray areas here. Okay, here's what happened. They came in and
Nobody wanted to sit with Santos.
nobody
so we put
wanted
him
to
at our
sit with
table.
Santos, so I told Tyler, Tyler, I said, "You can sit across from me." And he goes, "All right, thanks, bro." And he sits,
or whatever he says all the time.
He sits down, and nobody knows this, but I'm gonna throw a little bit of Santos's life out there.
Don't do
When
it.
Santos sits at a table, he's actually kind of respectful, and he sits with his hands in his lap. And I was sitting with my hands in my lap for some reason. And Jen walks behind me, and they all go to sit down, and Casey says something, and I look up, and me and Tyler look up at the exact same time and lock eyes, and it's
And
like
then they kiss.
it's like a 15 it's like a 15-second moment of silence, and he goes, "What are you looking at, bro?" And it's like, "I don't know. What are you looking at?" And he goes, "I don't know."
And then they
And
kissed.
and then he orders his food, and I ordered what did I get? I got chicken strips and fries.
Oh, really?
I got chicken strips and fries, and I was sitting there
You
eating.
eat like Dash.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And then Santos orders, and every item that he ordered, he looked at me directly after like he knew I was judging him. I wasn't. He's like, "Can I get the Denny's burger? Can I get the fries?"
Nobody
and then
can see Leon's pausing and then looking at the wall.
and he's like, "Thank you so much." He's like, "What do you want to drink?" He goes, "Can I have a Pepsi?" Or whatever he got. And so then he brings his food
Lemonade,
down.
probably.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
he brings his food, and I'm sitting there eating. And then I noticed this kid is very weird. He doesn't eat fries.
No, he don't. I know.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, "You don't have to order fries." He goes,
Right.
"What comes with the burgers?" I ask for something else.
And he's like Gordon Ramsay, because I felt like he was like trying to figure out the ingredients of lettuce. Like he was like digging through his burger looking at it. And so he eats, and then we get into this conversation. It was about my hat. I'm a big Marvels guy. I love the Incredible Hulk. So I wear a Marvels hat to all of the shows. And he goes, "Why are you wearing that hat?" And I said, "I don't know, because I like Marvel." He's like, "Who's on it?" I said, the Hulk? Batman's better.
He is.
I'm like, okay. He goes, Marvel's stupid. I said, I'm not getting into this with you, Santos. And so we went back and forth, and Casey was like, oh my gosh, if you two do not shut up, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to drive my car off a bridge. And I'm like, first of all, I'm driving. He's like, I'll drive your car off a bridge. So I had Casey have a whole mental breakdown sitting at Denny's while he was eating.
Well, yeah, because like Saturdays are my escape from all you people, and then to show up on Saturday to be like, oh, this is where Leon goes and does his thing, and I go do my thing, and I don't have to hear the why chicken tenders and French fries is the best meal to get at every restaurant we go to. Like I don't have to hear that. Oh, dude, it's so awful taking this guy to eat somewhere. Like, cause when we choose stuff to eat after shows, he's like, it's whatever's fine with me. And then me and Kayla will be like Taco Bell, and he's like, I don't really eat anything from Taco Bell. And then we'll be like, okay, let's go to Huddle House, Leon. And he's like, And then we end up going to like McDonald's or Arby's. It always happens. Yeah. It always happens, and then him and Santos kiss, and then it's never once.
Well, let me tell you the first time me and Cortland hung out with him, okay?
Oh, yep, this is what I've been waiting for.
Well, it was a Sunday. I guess he was still dressed for church, because I'm sitting here, I'm looking like a homeless person, and JC's just in his basketball shorts, and he's all dressed nice, and we're just going to a Chinese restaurant, okay? Well, he's awkward as heck, and I'm sitting here like, well, this is going to be fun. And I was like, I looked at JC or Cortland, and me and him both knew that we've got to make him feel even more awkward. What can we do? So I just go, hey, Santos, I got a question for you. He goes, what's that? I said, are you a booty guy? And he just looks at me like, is she really asking me this? I go, serious question. Are you a booty guy? And then he just gets all awkward. He's sitting there running his hands through his hair, like just messing his hair all up, looking all crazy. And he goes, I think I'm a booty guy.
Oh my gosh, that sounded just like him. That's like
him. And I had somebody make a shirt that says that. I think I'm a booty guy. And he wore it, it was an Owensboro show, so we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and he wore it there, and the waiter was like, yeah, me too.
That's so funny because he does that. Like, he'll do that. Like, you'll talk to him or something, and the moment he gets uncomfortable, it's, I gotta fix my glasses and run my finger through my hair, and then it's like he throws his hands up and like slaps his thighs, like, really,
Yeah.
And it's like, Santos, we love you, but God forbid you give him a hug. Yeah, no, God forbid you hug him.
I hug him all the time because he hates it.
Yeah, I'll do it sometimes. I'll just like give one of those big bear hugs, and I'm like, who wants to hug him to make him feel weird?
Now,
a big group over there.
For everybody that thinks that we're being mean to Santos, we are. But it's tough love. We love Santos. He's a great guy.
Fuck that guy.
I'll just say he's my best bro. There you go. Because he's so innocent sometimes that it just makes me laugh. He's hilarious. And sometimes a little dumb, but, you know... That makes me feel smarter.
You know, it's funny because I kind of get offended, like when he's in a match and people start being mean to him, because I'm like, hey, only I can do that. You stop being mean to Santos. But then I'm like, boo that man.
Yeah, like it's fun. I'll be mean to him, and then somebody will come up and say something. I'll be like, "Hey, you're gonna be nice to him." They're like, "Well, you were mean to him." I'll be like, "Well, I'm allowed to, okay? So just back off."
You got to put in some time. Like we were at the Christmas party, and I'm like shy. People don't realize this because on the show I'm so outgoing and charismatic and beautiful and all these other nice things. But in real life,
part of that is true.
In real life, hey, won't you eat dicks? But in real life, I'm just kind of like Michael Cera. I just sit my hands in my pockets. I'm like, hey, what's going on, you guys? Like I'm real nervous about stuff all the time. And Munchie comes over to me and he's like, hey, dude, leave your table and go mingle with people. And I was like, I can't. I'm shy.
He's like, Leon's not here yet.
Yeah, it's like Leon's not here yet for me to be like, have somebody to bounce off of. And he was like, go talk to Santos. And I was like, okay, let me go holler at Santos. So I go over there because Santos is standing by himself, and I walk over to him. I go, what you doing, buddy? And he's like, oh, nothing. I'm just staring at the ceiling. And I I said, why are you doing that? And he goes, I don't know. Just sometimes I like to look at the ceiling. And I went, well, this has been a fun conversation. I'm going to holler at you later. And then I went and got drunk.
That same night, they were getting ready to do the end of the year awards. And we were sitting there, and I had just gotten there. And Caleb maybe strode up behind me. And I'm like, hey, let's go talk to Santos. And Casey's like, no, I'm okay. And I'm like, and I said, let's go talk to Santos. And it was funny because it was a perfect combination. It was Santos and Landon Sugar standing side by side. Perfect combination. And so we walk over there, and I'm like, hey, Santos. And he goes, what do you want? And I'm like, I'm just coming to say hi. He goes, oh, hey. And I'm like, hey. And like he starts veering up to the ceiling again. And I look up and I'm like, okay, change subject. And I look back down. And by the time I look back down, he's turned around backwards looking at the like backdrop and stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just looking at the lights. I'm like, I'm just kidding. And it's
Just
funny.
getting used to how my match is going to end tonight.
He's an odd character, but I think it's just what it is. He's very funny, and which of course, like most people, you're different around certain people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I probably see a side of him that other people don't see, or whatever else. So like he's very funny. Whenever he rides with us in the car, Dash will roast the heck out of him, and it's so freaking funny. It's just the greatest thing in the world. But no, like I like to get him on a rant too, because I love to hear people rant. I love it. I love to rant with people, and I'll get him on a rant about something, and it's hilarious. And he'll just keep going and going and going, and I'm cracking up. But I can understand where people's just like, this dude's weird, because he is, but like in the best possible way.
Like he's a perfect example of, and I mean this in all seriousness, when we first got started with the company, my biggest fear was, am I going to fit in with the locker room?
And then you figure if Santos does, I got
Well, and it wasn't just that, but it was like,
Sorry.
like
I shitted on your parade.
I knew how I felt going in, and I knew what my concerns were. But then I saw how everybody treated Santos. Not in a bad way. They treat him, they pick on him, yes. But there's love behind it. And
Yeah.
that's what's so important about, and I say this every show because it's true, and I cannot put our company over enough. If there is any group of people that belong together, it is the WWA locker room. There is no, I don't like this guy, I think he's stupid, this guy, doesn't belong here. They make you feel like you belong.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So
Yes.
was that something that you felt coming in, like, how am I going to be treated by everybody, or was it like, oh, I got this?
Well, I kind of, because I already knew Jordan, I was slowly making friends with the others. So I still don't feel like I 100% fit in, but I fit in enough to where it works, I guess. But like, I am different from a lot of people, but everybody in that locker room is different.
Yeah.
And, no two people are exactly the same. You'll have some that, like, they have a lot in common, but, like, it just, I don't know, it just works. And I think the differences with each other is what makes it work, too, because, like, you'll be interested in something, but then I'll be interested in something different, and we can just, like, hey, you've never done this before, let's go do this, and then it just, like, kind of introduces you to something else, and you'll either love it or you'll hate it, but either way, I think it works for everybody.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I've always, like, anywhere I go, like, I'm going to be starting a new job on Monday. Luckily, I already know the people I'll be working with.
Oh,
but
cool.
anytime starting a new job, it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Am I going to be the weird person there? You got to get a feel for people. And used to, when we would get new people, I would wait and see who stayed before I got to know their name. But then I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I need to just start learning their names. And I did have one guy. He's not there, but he did message me once, and he said, "Hey, I want to thank you for being the first person, other than who was training them,
Right.
to come up and say something to me." He said, "You made me feel welcome and everything like that." So that's kind of the goal now. And Landon Sugars, for example, Landon Sugars, he's not a talker.
Right.
But I sat there and I talked and I asked questions. I said, "I'm going to break you out of your shell." So he talks a lot more now.
Yeah.
But I want people to feel like they can be themselves at the shows and all that. So because I know what it's like to feel awkward around people that you don't know.
Yeah.
So I try to make sure everybody feels welcome. And, whenever I find an occasional Leon, I'll go over and bully him too instead of taking him around.
Listen, I've been on this guy's case for 2 years now. Like the day we met, I was like, gay. Like whatever. Like I was clowning him first day because I've just accepted that I am a weird cat. Like I'm unusual and I'm into unusual things and I do unusual things and I say very unusual stuff. And so I've just learned how to embrace it now. Getting into the locker room though, see, that's what really caught me off guard because in my first, run in wrestling, there was a lot of politics going on. Old guys didn't want to talk to the young guys. The young guys didn't even want to talk to the young guys because oh, you're going after my spot. So when I go in, I'm keeping that mentality. I'm like, okay, I have to watch what I say. I have to watch what I do. The only way to do that is I either have to go 0 or 100. I can't do both. So I went 0, hands in the pockets. Oh, what's going on, everybody? Quiet. Now as it's gone on, Santos gets his fair share, and Landon, I'm always bullying him. And now Casper Davis, I like to bully him a lot too. That's real fun, and it's easy. A lot of people don't understand how easy it is
To bully Casper.
Yeah, it's really easy.
That's Portland and Landon. They'll make fun of how each other are blonde.
Yeah.
Oh, look. So
Dash likes to make fun of that I'm fat, and I make fun of that he's short. Casper's that I like to hit him with is so I started this out softly. I was gaslighting Santos as a racist. So
Yeah.
EB walks past us and he's like, "What'd you say, Santos?" I was like, "Oh, he called you a basketball American." And Santos was like, I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Santos, you call me that?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Let me get EB over here to talk to us." He's like, "I don't want to talk to the basketball people." And I was like, "Whoa!" And so I'll do that to him. And then I just started Casper said something to me the other day about something. I was Caucasian, and I threw a cigarette butt on the ground, and he's like, "That's littering. That's a crime." And I said, "I don't commit crime. That's for the blacks." And
oh my God,
and then Casper's
that's awful.
He's like, "Yo!" After that, and then
That's so bad.
Then it became bullying him because he's crippled.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
we were at a Livermore show and we were all standing around, and me and Jenn decide, hey, we're gonna go pick on Santos.
Yeah.
And me and Jenn were. She
It's
was.
that's how the guy. You know what we should go do? We should go bully that kid.
He's so vulnerable. When he's sitting there by himself, he's like the little fat kid that you want to take the candy from. But we walk over there and we get into some kind of conversation. I don't remember what we were talking about. And then we started bringing up Puerto Rico. And he went off the rails. They're not real Spanish. I'm real Spanish. They don't speak Spanish. I speak Spanish. Do not bring up Puerto Ricans around Santos.
I'm
It drives
going to
him
now.
nuts.
I'm going to now. I'm be like, you know what Spanish culture I love the most? That I think is really nailed the market on what it means to be Latinx in America. The Puerto Ricans.
Oh, dude, it fired him up.
Getting him going on Guatemalans.
Oh, yeah, that too.
See, I don't know enough about Guatemalans, but I can do some research. I'm off tomorrow. I have a whole day.
Just look up big facts. You need to print them off, though, and be like, top 15 facts about Guatemala.
Did you know that Guatemala's biggest export is bananas or whatever it's going to be?
I think it's cantaloupe.
Or
watermelon.
One more Santos thing, and then I got to have you tell a story, and I'm going to I'm not going to shoot you in a direction, but I definitely want a certain kind of story. But before I get to that, Santos His name is Tyler Santos. That's what his thing is. And I started, like, when we first interviewed Santos and we interviewed Dash and we interviewed Matija, I had already interviewed Mex prior, so I count that as getting the entire Mestizo dynasty. Once we got Munchie and got Matija, we had completed the Mestizo dynasty bingo, as I called it. Well, I got to looking up. I was like, I've never heard that word, Mestizo, before. I wonder what that means. So I look it up. And it essentially means being Mexican, but mixed with something else. And it says mostly Caucasian is usually what it applies to. And I was like, everybody in that group except Mex is mixed. And I just started laughing. If you look at their names, Matija Montana, that's you know, I could see that name and I couldn't guess what they were. Munchie Gonzalez, that's pretty Hispanic right there. Dash Licardo's just kind of like whatever. Licardo, it has Hispanic roots to it, you know, so there's that. And then Tyler Santos. Well, there's a joke there. Is that the joke is a stereotype that anytime you have a child of mixed white and Hispanic descent, the child's name is either Tyler or Haley. And they do an SNL joke about it. And it's Pedro Pascal playing one of the cast members, you know, Cuban mom, and then he brings a white girl home and she's speaking Spanish and she goes, Tyler and Haley Gonzalez. And I started laughing and I pointed that out to Santos. I said, did you notice that your shoot name and your wrestling name are both stereotypes for mixed Mexican children? He had no idea.
Wow.
He had no idea. I was like, yeah. I was like, usually you have one really white name and one really Hispanic name. And I was like, and both of your names are like that? They're just reversed.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just tell you, I won't call his actual name out on the podcast, but he has a very much white name.
Yeah,
he does.
Yeah. Well, see, his last name, which I won't say, but if you're from Owensboro, you would get this immediately. Like, his last name is one of the biggest families in Owensboro. He's not kin to them, I found out. But, like, when you say that name in Owensboro, your mind immediately goes to the whitest people you can think of. Neon white. White. And like super white. And that's what I asked him. I was like, are you kin to them from Owensboro? And he was like, no. He goes, no, different family. And I was like, well, number one, that explains a lot. That explains why you're approachable, because none of them are. And I was like, explains why you're approachable. But like, he's so funny that like he still doesn't get it. I still keep telling him, and he's like, it's really not. And I was like, it really is. Tyler is the most common name for white and Mexican children because I love cultural stuff. It's like really fun to me, like how different but similar we all are, regardless of melanin levels. And like that, certain things are just absolute. And that's what I told him. I was like, there's just certain cultural things that are absolute, and you embody that every time you say your name to someone.
And you know what's funny? This is kind of segueing away. I knew that this was going to turn into 35 minutes of Tyler Santos and Jenn stories.
I thought this was going to be 40 minutes of Santos. I really did. I was like, this is going to be the Santos
I
shit.
might talk about him.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna listen to it. Like he came out one time in Bowling Green while we were still fans. It was our last show. Our last show as fans, and we're wearing our shirts because we're marks for ourselves, and we're wearing our Turnbuckle Weekly shirts. And he sees it, and he's like, "Oh, I know you guys. I did your show. You said some bad stuff." He's talking to me specifically. You said bad stuff on the show about me. I'm never coming back on there again. And I went, "What are you talking about? I love you and say that every episode. It's him you don't like." And then he just looks at Leon and looks back at me, and then I realized he didn't know which one of us was which. And I was like, uh-oh. And I was like, so he just looked at me and was like, that fat asshole right there. But I do want to go back. I want to wrap the show up in a way that, like, and the kind of the way we met, like our first conversations were I remember the first thing that we ever spoke to each other was you came over to us in Livermore and you told us that you don't listen to wrestling podcasts, you don't really like it that much, but you listened to some of our stuff and you liked it, and it made us feel really good. We talked about it on the whole way home. We were like, more people there know who we are. This is cool. This might mean we can get our foot in the door. You know, 'cause that's what we were trying to do originally. It was like try to figure out how to get our foot in the door there. And but after that, we would see you we'd be behind the barricade. You always make a stop over because you're really good at getting to know the fans. Like, whole families of people that come to these shows. And my favorite thing about coming to shows was not only was I going to get a killer wrestling show, but I was going to get some really funny stories.
Yeah.
Because some of the stories that you told us that you could get away with telling us, because I'm sure there's things now you could tell us that you wouldn't get in trouble for telling us. But then you could tell us certain things and it was funny. So I want you to just kind of dig back and think about like one of the funniest things you ever seen there. And that's how we're going to end this show.
And this is just
Funniest
part
thing
one.
I've seen at one of our shows.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
at a WWA show, it doesn't have to be Terry punching that lady in the face, because that was like 2 weeks before we started coming, and I would pay so much money for time travel to see that.
Yeah, because our first show was Independence Day, and it happened right before that.
Independence Day happened a couple weeks before. Yeah. So just the funniest thing you could think of, or just the best story that you think you have in your pocket, something that would really like. A lot of pressure's on you now. Now the pressure's on. You've sat here for 50 or for 60 minutes just letting us go. Now you got it. Now you got to do it.
Well, there's so many. Like, there's like a party on the side of the road. There was a comment that Dakota had made to me at Wendy's one time that made everybody fall out. Well, I'll do the Wendy's one, I guess. We had went to like the car show or something in town. I know this isn't wrestling related, I guess.
It's totally fine.
We went to Wendy's. There was Jordan's, well, she's his ex-wife now, but she was there. I was there, Chris, Dakota, a few other people, and we're sitting there, and I had my hair dyed. And Dakota, he's very random. I could tell you plenty of stories about him, but he's very random. He looks at me and he goes, "Jenn, you dyed your hair." And I'm sitting here like, we've been around each other for like 2 hours already. And I just said, "Yeah." And he goes, "It reminds me of red velvet cake." And I'm like, "Okay." And then he goes, "I'd like to put the icing on that." And oh my God.
Goodness, that's
I
awful.
got so embarrassed. Crystal and Chris about fell out of their chairs laughing because he just says random nonsense. And that was one of them that I was just like, oh my God, because seeing Dakota as Dakota France the wrestler and knowing Dakota France as a person, it just doesn't, they're two different people. And so that was the first time I got the whole experience. And then when we went back to Chris's house, I don't know what was going on with him, but then he started singing and dancing and like practically giving me a lap dance. And he said, he was singing that song, "Keep Your Hands to Yourself." And I go, "Please keep your hands to yourself." So that was pretty, looking back on that was funny. He's asked me before when we were halfway to, what is that place called? Holiday World. And he goes, "Jenn, why are you even here?" And I'm like, "Do you want me to have him to pull the car over and I just get out?"
Why are you here?
So now I think
Okay.
Saturday I'm going to have to
Like,
go.
yeah, we've been in the same vehicle forever, and now you just want to know. He's like, and I told him about it one time. He goes, "Honestly, I think I forgot you were in the car."
I think now I'm going to have to go up to Dakota France on Saturday and be like, "Dakota, you dyed your hair. You know what it reminds me of? Red velvet cake."
We should ask him if he likes red velvet cake. That'd be funny.
Dakota makes me laugh every single week because he'll walk up to me and he'll be like, "Hey, Casey, will you do me a favor?" And I'll be like, "What you got, man?" And he'll give me a list of tasks to get done, and I'll do it. And he'll walk up to Caleb and he'll be like, "How you doing, Caleb?" And he'll shake his hand. And then he walks up to Leon and he's like, "I still don't know your name."
He walked up to me at the show, and it was funny because after training, they were doing second class, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching everybody, and he's like leaned up on the turnbuckle, and he turns around, does that big grin, and like waves real fast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And then we're doing tear down, and he's walking, and of course, he's got his sandals on and his shorts and his John Cena shirt and his ball cap, and he walks up and he goes, man, what's your name again? I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I tell him, he's like, you're going to have to forgive me. It takes me a while with these names. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it does.
No, it doesn't at all. 2 weeks in, he was like, hey, Casey, come here.
And it's funny. It's so funny because every week up to that, he's known my name. And some magical way, we're in land. I know what it is. It's not that Landon's blind. It's the building that he came from. And Dakota was blind in the school and didn't know who I was. That's the answer.
Are you saying that Landon's blindness is contagious?
It could be.
Oh my God, it's going black. I can't see.
No, but
yes. Oh, dude, it's so funny. Oh my God, that's phenomenal.
I'll give one more story at an RPW show. They're probably not on the same show, but Ray Waddell, baseball slide. He was outside of the ring, and he was running up to do something, and the floor, just as one spot, wasn't level.
Oh no!
And he tripped, and he just slid across the floor, and I couldn't quit laughing. I was crying. I couldn't stop laughing. And then the same, not the same show, but same building, same company. Somebody said, hey, I need you to go back there and get Chris Waddell. So I opened the door, and Chris is in nothing but a singlet, and I go, hey, and he goes, ah, and puts his shirt up over him like, you know, he's naked or something, and which, of course, that was terrifying to see him in a singlet, but it's just, you know, it's a bunch of random little stuff that just, there's a million and one stories I could tell, but they're all just little short, you know,
Oh, I have
stories, and
I have a Chris Waddell singlet story. Last week in Eddyville, I went to the bathroom, and when I go into the bathroom, who do I see but Christopher Waddell? And he's in his gear, and like I go to pee, and he's like fiddling with the singlet, and he's making like dad noises because he's frustrated with it. And then I'm not paying any attention. I'm not snickering or giggling or anything. And then like I get ready to go flush the urinal, and he goes, "Singlets are real fun till you got to take a piss." And I said, "Yeah, that's true." And he goes, "I was just trying to fix this. I didn't want you to catch too much of a show." And I was like, "Sir, if I caught that show, it'd be game over for both of us."
That's awful.
I pinched Munchie's nipple in front of him one time, and Munchie looked at me like, "What the hell did you just do?" And I was like, "That was for you. A little bit for me, but mostly for you." And then Chris goes, "It was all for me. I love his titties."
It was funny because Chris is so, how do I put this?
Here we go.
He's such a great boss.
You gonna chalk his nose with your his asshole one more time, or
no? But I am gonna say this. we were walking back in from outside, and Chris got up behind us. We had taken something outside, and I'm like, "Oh shoot, Casey, we gotta move faster." There he is. And Chris just like out of nowhere, like I hear him chuckle behind me, and he goes, "Yeah, I'd walk slow back if I was going back to work too. I'd walk real slow."
Yeah,
like,
walk slow back to that work, boys. Enjoy the break you get. We were like, "That's not what was going on," but yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, we weren't doing that at all."
And I had to keep chasing a 12-year-old
Dude,
around.
I busted my knee up so bad Saturday. I have no idea. I'm just now to where I can bend it.
dang.
It really sucks because I was fine, and then like I got up from stamping hands. I was like, "I'm gonna go get me a hot dog," and I stood up and I was like, "Oh, that's not right." I was like, "Okay."
Get that
Something
thing happened.
Yeah. I think I slammed it on the canvas, I think.
Well, you guys, this has been a phenomenal show that Leon brought to a screeching halt with my knee hurts. What a pansy,
I'm
dude.
I'm sorry, but you slam your arm into a table and suddenly you're crippled for 6 months.
No, I was crippled for 6 weeks.
Whatever.
And I'm still crippled. The arm keeps locking. It's the worst. But I won't wear a sling because Cortland made fun of me, and he was like, "You milking that thing for everything that's worse." I was like, "It's out of place."
Put it back in.
Yeah, that's what he said. He goes, "Put it back in." I said, "I did. It came back out."
Come at him with this, and it was funny because Brooklyn like laughed about it. Well, we laughed at it in the moment. We were somewhere, and he went to go use the bathroom, and then Brooklyn was like, I kind of need to go to the bathroom. So then we're walking toward the bathroom, and he's coming out. And he's looking at us funny because apparently the person in front of him smelled weird. And he's looking at us funny. And Brooklyn goes, "Why are you looking at us all crooked?" Because his blind eyes sometimes will drift a little bit.
Yes.
And he's like, why are you looking at me crooked?
Cortland, use both your eyes. It's like, oh.
So next time, just ask him why he's looking at you crooked.
Oh, that's gonna be phenomenal. I gotta tell you, I can't think of another way to end this thing because this was really funny. And if we keep
We are
going,
doing a part 2. It's coming.
Because if we keep going with this one, we're gonna be on here for 4 hours.
Yeah,
And
we
I've
are.
done those before, and they get uncomfortable.
It'll be another Portland Moore episode.
Yeah, no,
Listen, I gotta get that guy back on here too. I gotta get both of you at the same time because I can only imagine how fun that would be.
that'd be great.
Oh yeah.
Do
You
Riverside
know,
on that one.
TNA trip.
That would be so fun. We really appreciate you coming here. I know you
For
don't
real.
do stuff like this.
Yeah, I'm not good at talking.
I think
No.
that's been great.
No, this has been a fun show. It's really super fun, and it delivered what I wanted it to deliver. It's relaxed. It's fun. I've been up since 4:00 this morning. I didn't get off until an hour after I was supposed to get off. I manage a Dairy Queen now, and today's free cone day at Dairy Queen.
Oh.
So I made so many ice cream cones today that if I smell ice cream in the near future, I'm gonna puke. And and my boss is like, "Hey, clear the screen, darling, and you can go." And I was like, "Cool." And the screen didn't clear for a full hour after my shift, and I go to leave, and she's like, "What are you still doing here?" And I was like, "You told me to clear the screen." "Oh no, just what was on the screen when you went back there." I said, "Well, that's not what you said." So I'm an hour over, and I'm exhausted. I opened the store by myself for the first hour. I ran the store after opening by myself for an hour and a half. I'm exhausted. I'm going home. I'm not even cooking dinner. When Chelsea was like, "What are we doing for dinner?" And I was like, "You sons of bitches
Are going to Dairy Queen."
No, you sons of bitches can eat pizza bagels and mini tacos that are in the
Figure it out.
freezer, ramen. Piss off. I'm coming home. I'm washing the dishes. I'm going to hit my pen until I can't see straight. And then I'm playing 2K for the rest of the night. Eat my ass. Like, but so I was falling asleep on the couch sitting waiting for this. I was falling asleep and I was like, I got to get a Red Bull. And now I'm fully awake. So it also did that. It energized me again, made me feel good. Got me. I'm gonna fall asleep as soon as I get home, but but this was super fun. Like I said, I've had questions that I've wanted to walk up and be like, "Hey, I have this question that I've been curious about," but the salesman in me goes, "You got to make this a podcast," because every conversation I have, I need a microphone. I'm like, "Where's the microphones? This is gold," because I'm a mark.
Yeah, you have to keep something with you at all times.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I bring a gear bag and a tech bag every single show because you never know when something's going to pop off. But
Exactly.
But everybody, we appreciate you guys tuning in. This is probably the most entertaining hour and 20 minutes I think we're coming up on that I've had in a long time. Can't wait to do it again. I guess Leon will be here. It is what it is.
It's not like I have an
Somebody
important
make
job
fun
here, but whatever. It's okay.
Sir,
Just remember. Remember one thing,
you're no
Casey.
Drake Jackson.
No,
sir.
listen. I don't have to be Drake Jackson. I want you to remember one very, very special thing.
Cowboys' butts drive you nuts?
No.
Damn it.
You may be the voice of the Turnbuckle Weekly,
And of hysteria now.
but I am the face of this podcast. You're welcome.
Oh boy.
Anyway, everybody, we love you. We appreciate you guys listening to us, devoting your time to us. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Remember, tomorrow isn't promised, so we got to enjoy our time here while we can. Create a little bit of fun, create a little bit of paradise on this plane of existence. And we're really glad and super grateful that we became a part of that for you guys. Y'all take care. Thanks, Mom.